Dune Prophecy is one of those weird shows where it's going to be extremely polarising. You'll either love it or hate it. And to be honest, it's easy to see why. Prophecy is a slow burn, and when I mean slow, I'm talking turtles wading through treacle levels of slow. However, in that slowness, we do get some moody political machinations, an intriguing setup, and some compelling world building. Oh, and the visuals are pretty good too. Conversely, we get some god-awful characters, a stop-start plot that never quite settles into a consistent groove, and a really difficult set of players to empathise with. So in essence, this one's a complete mixed bag, and it makes this review pretty difficult to record because there are parts of this that are good, parts that are mediocre, and parts that are outright bad. The story at the heart of this centres on two Harkonnen sisters, Valya and Tula, who find themselves in the midst of a political power play. The story takes place around 10,000 years before the birth of Paul Atreides and the first Dune book and movie adaptations, and really kicks off when Valya and Tula organise a coup to dethrone, assassinate, the previous Mother Superior. The pair then seize control of the sisterhood, intending to set to work making big changes for the wider world. This is a time before these sisters became the fabled Bene Gesserit, so yes, this is very much in prequel territory. The tone and mood attempts to be similar to that of Villeneuve's Dune movies, and at least on that front, HBO series does manage to capture some of the visual splendour found in that film series. Unfortunately, it doesn't take the same level of script writing or thematic weight, so it all rings a bit hollow. The story basically depicts the political manoeuvring of Valya and Tula, with both sisters off at different sides of the wider world. Valya's focus is on Seleucus Secundus, where she intends to manoeuvre herself into the throne room of the Emperor and make a play for the Princess Yanez. Valya wants her to join the sisterhood and then position Yanez on the throne, allowing her to essentially play puppet master and take control of a larger slice of the political pie. While Valya works on making this a reality, Tula stays behind with the other sisters and trains them up, while also finding herself embroiled in a conspiracy of her own. Both of these stories, however, are disrupted by the arrival of Desmond Hart, the sole survivor of an attack over on Arrakis. He arrives on Seleucus Secundus, claiming he survived a sandworm attack and seemingly sporting spiritual powers. Played by Travis Fimmel, who basically plays Ragnar Lothbrok in Space Again, Desmond's story is arguably the most fascinating aspect of this whole endeavour. Unfortunately, the show never really does enough with his character to make you properly root for him, and spends way more time with the sisters instead, and that's a problem in a show that has very few people for you to outright support. I mentioned the pacing before, but it's hard to sum up exactly how slow this show is. The first couple of episodes in particular are definitely an exercise in patience, but each chapter following that baits big moves to come with cliffhanger endings or surprising spikes of drama to up the stakes. A lot of the dialogue around that feeds into larger bouts of exposition, which in some ways is needed to explain what's happening with the world, but simultaneously comes across as clunky and heavy-handed. The best comparison I can make here is that it takes the slower aspects of House of the Dragon Season 2 and dresses it up with the sci-fi skin, all with a distinct lack of Dune or space travel. A lot of the scenes are set in large expansive interiors to give an illusion of grandeur, but when you look at the dialogue itself, there's just not a whole lot of substance here to play with, and that's before mentioning how episode 1 features some techno music in a club because, yeah, why not, I guess? Having not read the book, I can't comment how well this adapts the source material, but to have at least 2 handfuls of characters in this show and not a single one being likeable or compelling is not a good sign, and this is a problem that Dune Prophecy never solves. However, that's not for the want of trying. There is an attempt here to humanise Valya, who's one of the biggest villains in the show, whether intentional or not. All of her drama is superficial and never extends beyond some brotherly issues in the past. Likewise, Tula doesn't really get a whole lot to do until the midway point, and even then she feels like a plot device to move other sisters into a more meaningful role. I'm being careful here not to drop spoilers, but there are a couple of twists and bite of action laid on that do help this one. But realistically, this is a tough sell. Honestly, at times you'll have to remind yourself you're watching a HBO original and not an Apple TV Plus show, given the pacing. One of the better examples of this perceived plot progression comes from a shape-shifting character. I won't reveal who, don't worry, but this brings up so many fascinating avenues to explore. There could be big bouts of paranoia as this person goes rogue and adopts different faces, they could have their own agenda, or even just ratchet up the tension and become completely unhinged during the more tense political moments. Instead, the writers do absolutely nothing interesting with this. On the other side of the coin though, the Emperor gets a really poetic arc from start to finish, while there's an ongoing vision that's revealed to be something rather unlikely, but in hindsight, completely obvious given the foreshadowing we get. These are great inclusions, and there's also a couple of shocking moments that will definitely catch you off guard through the 6 episodes. By the end of the season, there are dangling plot threads that do at least spark some intrigue to see where this is going to go next. But the trouble is, it does so by manoeuvring the least interesting and most obnoxious players into the driver's seat ready for season 2. Ultimately, this one is a tough sell, and despite it being greenlit for a second season, whether that will work to improve the plotting and spice things up remains to be seen. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.